The whole idea of Kevin Durant on the Rockets was to add an elite closer to a team that had everything else. But the reality, Houston has become the worst team in the NBA at closing games with Kevin Durant. How is that possible? Durant joins them and does the exact opposite of what everyone thought. In fact, the Rockets are an NBA worst 1-7 in overtime games this year, and in 3-minute clutch games, just 16 and 18. But if you had to pick the worst example, the biggest nightmare way to fumble a game, you would pick the most recent collapse. Houston in Minnesota essentially tied in the West standings. Rockets go on a 13-0 run in overtime, but somehow, without Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, or Rudy Gobert, Wolves hit back. Defensive breakdown, Mike Conley 3. Then, with Kevin Durant double-teamed, the Rockets can't capitalize from 3 because nearly every player around KD is a below-average three-point shooter. The one guy who is Reed Sheppard, who Coach Ime Udoka does not trust. Why? Few plays later, Reed guarding Dante DiVincenzo, but for some reason turns his head 180 degrees the wrong way. Dante back cut, easy pat to the basket. Udoka calls a timeout, but leaves Sheppard in the game because he needs somebody who can hit a 3. Perfect example, next play, Kevin Durant sees a closeout, so pass to Amin Thompson, and on a normal contender, that's an easy bucket. But Amin can't shoot. Sorry, but he has to dribble past to Şengün, who's got bodies under the basket. Of course he can't score. Or defend, because on the other end, Alpi basically a traffic cone on this play. But Kevin Durant, not perfect either. Next, he turns the ball over, which has been a major problem for him all year, and he misses a free throw in a chance to tie the game. So teams are 180-0 when up 10 in overtime, now 180-1. By far the worst collapse of the NBA season. So that's how bad things have gotten. But why? Why do the Rockets have a bottom 10 offense in the month of March with Kevin Durant? Bottom 10 when half the league is tanking. Well, a lot of people will say it's all Coach Ime Udoka. It's his fault. It's a little more than that. But my son just had a birthday. Man, that gets expensive. Between the party, a gift, cash can be tight. And we have all had those times in our life where something comes up. An unexpected or sometimes expected expense. It happens all the time, which is why today's sponsor Clover is awesome. It's a financial app designed to give people faster, smarter access to their money. Clover is not a payday loan. You can get up to $400 from your paycheck in advance for whatever, unexpected car repair, groceries, rent, anything. But the difference is Clover doesn't have any interest. No credit check, no late fees ever. Then how do they make money? Good question. Clover makes money through partnerships they have with outside brands that they promote in the app, as well as instant advance fees. See, you can either wait a few days to get your cash advance or pay a small fee for it to get deposited instantly. And unlike other apps, there's no monthly membership fee required to get an advance. So if you need a little extra cash, with Clover, you can access up to $400, no credit check, no late fees. Just click on the link in the description to sign up and let them know AM Hoops sent you. So the Rockets got KD in a blockbuster 17 trade last summer with Phoenix. They sent out Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the number 10 overall pick, center Kamal Malak, who has shown very little so far, but still just 19. KD has been very good numbers-wise in Houston, averaging 26 points as an all-star, but his effectiveness is limited because this is not the same Rockets as last year. He chose the Rockets because they were a KD away from making real noise. See, they broke out going from the 11th seed to the 2 seed last season, had defense, rebounding, elite youth, but not the 1A type scorer, like the guy who late in games can always get a bucket. Perfectly describes Kevin Durant. So he arrives and signs an extension. But then 2 things happened that completely changed the Rockets' DNA and screwed up everything. First, Fred VanVleet gets injured. And yeah, he's their starting point guard, but I mean, average stats at best. 14 points a game, 6 assists, 35% from 3. Who cares about Fred VanVleet? Well, his sheer numbers completely undersell his value to this team. Fred VanVleet was the clear leader on the court and in the locker room. Man set the tone on offense, getting everyone in their preferred spot to maximize their talent. He was the one who argued with referees on his teammates' behalf. Like every team has like a team captain guy whose job it is to speak for everyone else. That was Fred VanVleet, and he made a max contract for a reason. See, they don't just hand out max contracts anymore, especially in the second apron era, especially in Houston. I mean, this is the team who is famous for lowballing their own players, including Alperen Şengün and Kevin Durant on less than a max. But that same front office thought Fred VanVleet was worth every penny. That should tell you something about how valuable this man is on the court. So they lose him and try to play point guard by committee with guys like Amen Thompson, which made everything worse. But then, and this is way underrated, they lose Steven Adams with an ankle injury in January. What I'm about to say is shocking. Steven Adams was so key to who this team is. Last year, he set a record. Just look at this gigantic human grabbing rebounds. No one's a match for this guy. And because of this, Adams set the all-time record for grabbing his own team's missed shots by percentage. Dude was better than prime Dennis Rodman at offensive boards. So as a team, the Rockets were the #1 rebounding squad in the NBA. It became their entire identity. So you think you can lose the two most important players to a team's DNA and they succeed? No! KD did not sign up for this, but he hadn't helped either. A recent report says Durant has not fit in well with his teammates. Now that's not a surprise, but I have to say, this report is from a sketchy source. It's from a guy named Ashish Mathur who lives in Chicago. Okay, I'm not sure who he is speaking to, but he did put his reputation on the line to report this. Quote, some members of the Houston Rockets regret trading for Kevin Durant last offseason. A lot of guys miss Jalen and Dylan, one source said. Kevin hasn't bonded with anyone here yet. And now that's not surprising. He's been there less than a year. But that does track with KD. You could say the exact same thing about Phoenix, Brooklyn, and Golden State. But to make things worse, the burner account. KD is alleged to have called his own teammate and said Alfie can't shoot or play defense. So, quote, vibes around the Rockets have been awkward and tense since the 2026 All-Star game, sources said. Even though Durant brushed off the accusations that he was behind the burner accounts, most players and high-ranking officials in Houston believe Durant is behind those burner accounts. Yeah, this man may have taken a bad situation and made it 10 times worse. Now remember, that reporter is not Shams Charania, okay? But nothing in that story would be shocking if true. So what happens next? Well, right now the Rockets are a 6th seed and they would match up with the LA Lakers in the first round, which would be terrible. Lakers just embarrass Houston back-to-back games on their home court. But the truth is, people's expectations for this team have been way off. They were never supposed to be a contender this early. Remember, they randomly jumped in the standings to the 2 seed, but no one expected that. This was always a young team that were in the process of rebuilding. The Kevin Durant trade was random. They could just get this Hall of Fame scorer for cheap, so they went for it. He was never supposed to be their finishing piece. It was more of a trade of opportunity. People just got all excited and forgot that. Now, the Rockets still have a ton of trade assets that they plan to use. Why? Because they are not a finished product and they know it. Like other rebuilding teams during their rebuilding years got super lucky in the draft. Pistons won the lottery, got Cade Cunningham. Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. Mavs, Cooper Flagg. The highest the Rockets ever got in their rebuilding years was number 2 for Jalen Green. They're doing the best they can with what they have, and the plan's not done yet. So next year, they will be healthy and finally make that big trade we all know is coming. It's still all good for this team, but the Kevin Durant year is obviously not what they hoped for. But it turns out there are 3 young Rockets in the 6 most disappointing players this season. 3, which is insane, but it's not as bad as the worst and second worst players on this list.